Hello and welcome to episode 25 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is John Roser. John is the associate producer. He's the producer of the Chris Vernon Show on Grind City Media. He's also a post-game analyst for Grizzlies Radio Network and color commentator for the Memphis Hustle, the G League affiliate of the Memphis Grizzlies. John, welcome to the show.
Yo, what's up, man?
I appreciate it a lot. So tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
God, that most people don't know. That's interesting. Man, you're coming right off the top with that.
Take your time.
Yeah, no. People know. I guess because we talk about it on the show. I'm a sports card collector.
Right.
I collect those. I've seen Dave Matthews Band in concert 15 times. Is that interesting? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I love Dave Matthews.
And I've seen Kanye West 4 times. So those would be the two artists I've seen the most in concert.
Have you traveled around and watched them?
Kanye, Kanye, I've seen twice in Nashville, the Yeezus tour with Kendrick Lamar. This is before Kendrick opened for him. This is before Kendrick blew up.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar opened for him on that tour. This was after Good Kid, Mad City came out. I saw him on the Pablo tour also in Nashville, which was freaking awesome. Tyler, the Creator, was also actually in the crowd on the floor with everybody. I didn't see him, but I saw the pictures later, but he was down there on the floor where we all were.
Cool.
I saw Watch the Throne, Jay-Z and Kanye West in New Orleans, at the New Orleans Arena there. And then when I was at NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago a couple years ago, this was the year everything got shut down for COVID. It was the last All-Star Weekend before everything got shut down. The league literally shut down 2 to 3 weeks after the All-Star break.
Right.
The day before we left for Chicago, Kanye posted on Twitter, Sunday service, the Sunday of the NBA All-Star game at the University of Illinois, Chicago, tickets on sale now. And I go, Chris, he's doing Sunday service the day of the All-Star game. It's in the afternoon, so we can do both. And he's like, okay, dude, I'll get on it. And so we went to Sunday service.
Awesome.
Yeah. So those are the times I saw him. Dave Matthews I've seen, and it's really just been the area. I've seen him in Memphis a couple times. I've seen him in Little Rock, Nashville, Atlanta, St. Louis. Actually, he played the very first concert. It was the Black Crowes opening for Dave Matthews at the New Busch Stadium in St. Louis. They played the very first concert at the New Busch Stadium where the Cardinals play. So I was at that show.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I love Dave Matthews.
I like to travel around for concerts. I still would, but it would have to be I'd travel to see Kanye West, but my Dave Matthews traveling days those are over.
You grew up in Memphis and went to Christian Brothers High School, and you went to the college at the University of Memphis. And, when you were in your early 20s, you made a major decision that, which I would say it changed the course of your life. You got offered an internship at KQPN AM 730 to be the assistant program director for the Chris Vernon Show in 2005, I believe. And you decided to make a major leap and you quit school to go after your dream. Was there a moment when you said to yourself, I just have to do this?
Yeah. So actually, this may be more interesting than the concert thing. So when I was probably and I've talked a little bit about it on the show before, but I haven't really gone in depth on it. And I'm not going to go super in depth. But I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, and I'm in school. I didn't like doing it. I didn't really want to be in college. I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed a couple of classes, but for the most part, there were other stuff. It was the same way when I was in grade school. There's classes I like, and then a lot of them I'm just I don't care. I don't care about science. It's just not I've never been interested in science class. But I was kind of going through some just personal issues. Basically, I'm just trying to find myself. What do I want to do? What am I doing with my life? So I went to see a therapist. I talked to or a psychologist because I was really struggling mentally and everything. And he kind of geared me and pushed me in this direction. He's like, this is what you want to do. And I asked him, I said, they're doing internships. They don't have to be for college credit either. Because at the time I was taking time off of school, and I was maybe taking like one or two. I was taking like one class at this point. That's all I was taking. And then I had a part-time job. So it's like I had time.
Right.
And he said, go for it. Like, he's the one who gave me the confidence to go for it. And so he actually, his name was Dr. Joe Angelillo. He passed away late last year, from a stroke, I believe. But he's the one who really helped me as far as like telling me that, like, to push me to pursue it, because I don't know if I would have without him. I don't know if I would have.
When you were at AM 730, you guys, had a ton of listeners for a radio station that, had a pretty weak signal. And, the Chris Vernon Show was on the station for about 7 years. And what was it like in the early days of the Chris Vernon Show and your career as a producer there?
Wild. And insanely fun. Just learning about everything and how it all works. I had a couple of people who really helped the way. Obviously, Chris is like a big brother, father figure, whatever to me. I, love him, more than anything in the world, like outside of my mom. I owe everything to him. He knows all this. Jason Turgeon, who I believe is in the Navy now. He's in the Navy. He was the production manager, and he was the guy producing Chris's show when I originally got there. And Jason's an acquired taste because he says outlandish crap all the time, and like and he just says crazy stuff all the time. So you just have to get used to him. Like the first time you meet Jason, the first couple times you're around, you're like, what the hell is with this dude? This is crazy ass stuff he's saying. But he's a great guy. And he was super helpful to me. The other one was John Madani, who was the program director there at the time. And he moved from, I believe, Houston. He was living in Houston, I believe. I think it was Houston or Dallas. I believe it was Houston. Or no, Austin. It was Austin. He was in Austin. And he moved to Memphis to be the program director of, at the time, it was 730 ESPN. And, he'd been around forever. This guy run multiple radio stations, successful stations. He also produced NBA on ESPN radio, like nationally, like NBA on ESPN radio, the games that you would hear on like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon or Saturday or Sunday night on ESPN radio, and Major League Baseball. He used to produce Sunday Night Baseball a lot on the radio for ESPN radio. So this is a guy who had a ton of experience, and he kind of helped guide and show me certain things, because I died for real. Like, I didn't have a clue what to do. I had no idea what I was doing, and I learned the board fast. I had a voice. They loved my voice. They're like, yeah, clearly you got something here. And I learned how to run the board. I learned how to do that really fast. But then there are just so many other little things about the business that you don't know, and about shows and putting on shows that you just don't know. And they all had a hand in it. Chris, by far the most important. But Jason, a lot of the production work that I learned to do, like making intros and making, putting together music for the show, and whether it's little bits of sound stuff we do, he's the one who showed me how to do all that. And then John Madani also just kind of gave me certain pointers on what things you want to promote, what you do, it's just little things like that. So I said those three were very helpful in those early years. But what it was like, man, there's a certain point, like we were the only ones there in the office, like me and Chris. There's some point we just do what we want to do. Nobody told us, hey, don't do that. Like we did what we want to do. And it's crazy. I think it goes with all radio. Like there are things we probably did back then that we could not get away with doing today.
Right.
But that's all radio. If you turn on Sirius XM now and you listen to Howard Stern, on the days that he's actually there, I think he only does like 2 shows a week now or something like that. And he makes like $1 billion a year to do it. It's amazing. It's the life, you want to get paid more to work less. But you listen to him now and then go back and listen to him, 20 years ago. It's a complete 180 from where he is.
Right.
It's a complete 180. The stuff he used to do, and hell, they tried not to let him get away with it back then. But the stuff that he ended up getting away with back then at times, like he could never get away with that now. I mean, he might be able to just because he's so big, but he doesn't do any of that stuff anymore,
Right.
Like it's one of those things you mature, you grow up, and you adapt.
I've been an Alabama football fan since the late 80s. My sister went to school there and graduated there and met her future husband there. Our whole family became fans. I know you're an Alabama fan too. How did you become an Alabama football fan?
I'm not really an Alabama fan. I like betting on Alabama.
Oh, okay.
I like betting on Alabama football because especially the first half line, because they typically just go ahead. I love that about Saban. Like it is no nonsense. They typically beat the crap out of you in the first half. Every now and then they don't. For the most part, like if you were the last like 5 years, 6 years, if you were to just bet Alabama first half, the number, like whatever the first half point spread is, you're probably coming out on top more often than not. You're coming out on top. So yeah, I just do that. College football, that's the beauty of college football. Like I don't really I root for Memphis to do well. I want Memphis to do really well, but like that's what's fun about college football for me is I don't really as far as on the Power 5 states, I don't have like a favorite team. I grew up a Florida State fan. I did like Florida State growing up because of Charlie Ward and Bobby Bowden. Actually, Bobby Bowden speak at Bellevue Baptist. Rest in peace, Coach Bowden. And that was really cool. Deion Sanders was one of my favorite players growing up too. I love Deion. Helped the Niners win a Super Bowl, which was cool. So that's what's fun about college football for me is that I don't have that rooting interest on the Power 5 level. So I just get to watch and just be a fan of football. I like to bet on it. Another team that I have recently adopted a little bit because they've been pretty good betting wise is Ohio State. I love Ryan Day. I hated Ohio State under Urban Meyer. Everybody hates Urban Meyer.
Right.
Nobody likes Urban Meyer. Ryan Day actually seems like he's like genuinely a really good dude. He coaches different than Meyer. Like Urban Meyer motivates through fear, whereas Ryan Day, they motivate through actual like encouragement and motivation. So I do like Ohio State. I do like, particularly that first year they had Justin Fields, man. Woo! They were a covering machine when they had Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins. Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins, they were loaded at receiver. That game in the playoff against Clemson is one of the best college football playoff games. And Ohio State should have won that game. They absolutely should have won. They got hosed by the refs in that game. And Ohio State could have gone on to win the national championship against because Clemson did Clemson lose to LSU? I can't remember what year that was. I think it may have been the LSU year. Yeah, it was the LSU.
2019.
Ohio State would have given LSU a better battle than Clemson would have. Ohio State, they got so robbed by the refs in that game. Anyways, yeah.
Didn't you have a photo bomb or something with Urban Meyer once?
Yeah, it's on my Instagram at John Roser. I don't post a ton on Instagram, so it's not going to be difficult to find if you go there. Yeah, Chris, it's when he was the coach at Florida.
Right.
And he goes, dude, Roser, there's Urban Meyer, quick. And I was like, Urban Meyer's just walking with his head up. He's not paying any attention to me. But yeah, that's the famous picture now is me and Urban. Yeah. And Chris, I think when he posted it, he said Urban Meyer was thrilled to see Roser.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Back in July of 2012, you and Chris had a pretty big decision to make. You guys had grown so much. You had to, you made a choice between going to AM 5 Sports 56 WHBQ and 92.9 ESPN Radio. Ultimately, y'all chose ESPN Radio to form a super strong crew there with Eric Hasseltine and Gary Parrish. They were already on the air there. What ultimately led to the choice to go there?
I think that so we met with both, and I think it is nothing against Sports 56. We're friends with a lot of the guys over there. I do my hustle games with Eli Savoy, but I think Chris looked at it as, and you'd have to, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he kind of looked at it like, I've done that. I've been there before. I've been to Sports 56. So everything he had done was to do a new challenge. Right. He's at Sports 56. He leaves there and he goes to AM 730, low watt station, but I'm going to try to build this thing up. I'm going to challenge myself to build this thing up. So I think the decision to go to 92.9, it was a lot of that. Like, let's really see how big our audience is. Let's go to an FM station that people know, and let's see, which at the time 92.9 was not doing like crazy ratings or anything.
Right.
But enough people knew what the station was, because Gary and Eric were over there at that point, and they were the flagship home of the Grizzlies at that point too. So that everybody was aware if you want to listen to Grizzlies games. And that was in the middle of the Core 4 era too. So the team was good.
Right.
So, more eyes were on the Grizzlies. It was let's challenge ourselves. Let's see how popular we are. Let's see how popular we can make ourselves, how big we can make this thing. Or was this just a little niche thing on an AM station? And I think clearly it was the first one of that. It was big. We were able to build it up and make it big. But I think it was the challenge thing too, and the opportunity to, you're the flagship home of the Grizzlies. Like that means something, especially when our show is so Grizzly. We do a ton of Grizzlies. We always have, because as we've always thought, it's the only professional pro sports are bigger than college sports. They just are. Like, pro sports are big. Like, it's just a bigger thing. It's amazing to me, just like being involved, like in collecting sports cards, and you interact with sports, other people online that buy, sell, whatever, sports cards. It is amazing to me the people that don't watch college football. They just don't. They don't watch it. It's pro sports, and it's the same thing with me. Like, I really don't watch that much college basketball. Like, I watch the NBA, but I think it was the opportunity. Obviously, had an opportunity to get involved, being on the Grizzlies radio network too at that time. So I think it was the challenge of it.
I believe you once said that DeJuan Wagner was one of the best high school players that you ever got to see live in person.
He is the best I've ever seen in person.
What made him so special?
I mean, he was like the only player on his team worth a crap. Like the rest of his guys, like that. So I saw him play Hamilton, and I think they played East. I also heard one of the craziest sounds I've ever heard that day, because one of the guys for Hamilton separated his shoulder in the game, and it was at the Pyramid. It was back when the Pyramid was not a Bass Pro Shop, and they took him into the tunnel, and all you heard was, ah! That's them popping that thing back into place. But none of DeJuan Wagner's other teammates could have played for Hamilton. They would not have made the roster, would not have made the team, or East team. They would not have made either one of those teams. And they beat East and Hamilton because of DeJuan Wagner. That's how good he was. I mean, the guy could do whatever he wanted to on the court. And he would just, at some point, he's like, okay, they're going to throw three guys at me. I'm just going to shoot it now. And he'd shoot it from 35, 40 feet and make it. It's like, okay. Wow. Like, so he was, he could do. It sucks he had the health issues that came up, because he was actually I think he would have had a really good NBA career.
You guys had a really solid and successful show at ESPN Radio for over 4 years, and I actually met you back in 2015 while you were there, and you were the first person that I advertised with at my former store, Sleepy Z's Mattresses. You did such a great job for me opening that door, and I would have to say that was the most successful advertising decision I made in 19 years being in that business. In late 2016, and when Chris didn't get the contract offer for you guys that he deserved, you guys made the jump to, Grind City Media and getting the opportunity to work closely with Grizzlies players and the organization. Back when that move happened, you shared with me a little bit about the situation, in ESPN, and you decided to leave there too and follow him. That obviously was a great decision that you did that, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh, 100%. I mean, I told Chris all the time, I'll follow him to the abyss. Like, I will. I straight up will. Like, I've trusted him every step of the way. He's always had my best interest. He keeps it real with me on things, which is what I ask, which is what I want. And sometimes plenty of times he's been brutally honest with me about things and I don't like, but I'm appreciative of it. Whether it's, on air, something I did on air, I said on air, like he, or something we want to do for the show. And I appreciate that. Yeah, hell yeah, it was a great decision. I wasn't going to stay there. Not a chance. Like, I was never, I had to serve out the rest of my contract, which was 10 months. And I talked to attorneys. Once you're on the radio as much as you have, you meet a ton of people. I know plenty of lawyers.
Sure.
And I talked to them and they're like, look, you have a case because of what your contract specifically says. So you have a case. And even at this point, this is like a month or two later. But they're like, you've got 8 months left. Like, if you do this, like let's say you might win, but you might not, but you might win. Like, it's going to drag out for 2 years. Like, so just go ahead and serve your 8 months and just, do what you have to do. Don't, and I did what I have to do because John Martin's one of my good friends. I love John. And Jason too. I haven't seen Jason in forever though. So if Jason sees this, what's up, Jason? Miss you, buddy. I love both those guys, but I talk to John all the time. I talk to John regularly, at least, a couple times a month. We'll exchange texts or whatever. He's one of my good friends. So I wasn't going to sit there and just be, pissing and moaning the whole time. Well, I was there. Now, before they made that move to get Jason and John, I was pissing and moaning because I was like, you freaking dudes caused this. Like, you did not have to do this. This did not have to happen. And so, but it is what it is. Everything in life happens for a reason. I like all the people that are over there. I was over at Gary's on what was the most recent holiday? 4th of July. I think it's fourth weekend. Yeah. I was over there then. I mix up the holidays. But yeah, I was over there like 4th of July weekend. Me and Chris and a couple of our buddies were over there having a cookout. I no issue. I don't have any issue with anybody over there. I like everybody over there. I just don't really necessarily like the people in charge over there. Not really a fan of those people, of the higher ups. But everybody on the air, they're all awesome.
And ended up being a win-win situation. I mean, Jason and John have a show that's developed into a really good show over the years and the success that you guys have had with Grind City Media. And, that's what talking about, you're talking in the beginning about, with Chris, you have such a strong belief in Chris Vernon. He, in his vision, you have such loyalty. You've been extremely loyal and that's to be applauded. And unfortunately, it's very rare in today's society to have loyalty like that. And it says a lot about your character. What is it about Chris that led you to sticking with him all the way through this journey and having that loyalty to him?
So I listened to Chris I used to listen to sports radio when I was, in high school or whatever. And I remember when Chris first came on the air and he sucked. He'll tell you he sucked. He talks about it all the time, how much he sucked. And then when he came back on Sports 56, after, he got let go, and then he came back and he had that, like, I guess it was like 11-1 or something. I think that's what it was. And he had done like a complete 180 as a host. And I was like, okay, this is a guy who knows what he's doing and knows where he's going. Then he became at that point the only show I listened to on that station. He would be the only show I'd listen to. And obviously, the other day I'm in school, so the only time I could listen was during the summer months, because other than that, I'd be sitting in a classroom. And this is before podcasting too. So it was just, okay, this guy's super talented and he knows what he's doing. He absolutely knows what he's doing. And then just talking to him, getting to know him, and then he actually shows a genuine care in you, we've done the same thing with Devin. We did the same thing with Devin. When we got Devin as an intern at 92.9, we were like, we want him with us. We went to the bosses and said, we want him on our show. We want him interning with us. And we talked to him and, everything worked out there. And then, when I left and went to the Grizzlies, Devin was still at 92.9, but he didn't have a contract. And, brought him over. The Grizzlies hired him. You know, it's one of those things, like, it takes time to develop the relationship and everything over. It takes time to do that. But like, I mean, I don't know. I guess there was like a connection pretty early on with us, you know, with me and Chris on the air. We had a good back and forth together. And so once you have that, and then, you know, you actually enjoy hanging out with the person. I think there are a lot of hosts, like host producers or co-hosts or whatever. They don't hang out with each other outside of when they're in the studio together. Like, we legit will, like, we hang out if we ever go anywhere. Like, we don't really ever go anywhere. We're kind of homebodies now. But like, I'll go to Chris's house and watch football on the weekends, and we'll sit there and yell at the TVs because we're losing bets. I've gone over to his house to watch Grizzlies games. Road games, that is, when, you know, neither one of us have to be at the arena for responsibilities there. And like, you know, I think that's the first thing, is that, like, we're friends first. You know, it's at first we started out as coworkers, but now it's like, okay, we're friends before anything, and if anything happened, we'd still be friends.
You know, one thing that's obviously, you know, it's very obvious both watching you guys and listening to you, is that you guys are always having a lot of fun. You take what you do seriously, but you never take yourselves too seriously. You guys are always taking fun shots at each other and pretty much anyone else who joins you on the show. You really have I would say it's a dream job. You get to talk sports all the time, and at the same time, you get to be funny and sarcastic doing it. I mean, that's pretty awesome, isn't it?
No, it is. You know, I'll quote Ernie Johnson. I love Ernie Johnson. We have him on the show a couple of times, and he's a freaking amazing guest, and he's like an even better person. But Ernie Johnson went to speak to Alabama's football team, actually. Nick Saban had him there, and he was talking about, he said, I have a get-to job. I have a get-to job. I don't have a have-to job. I have a get-to job. He's like, I get to do this. I don't have to. It's not one of those jobs where it's like, oh, I have to go do this today. It's, I get to go do this today. And that's how mine is. And that's kind of how we view it. We're like, we really are just like three friends coming in the studio and talking to each other, just shooting the crap. Like, how we talk on the air is how we talk to each other in group text. Right. You know, say for certain things you can't say on.
Sure.
Right. Just like how all people are in group text with their friends, you know? Right. So it's, yeah, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We do take the show serious. And the thing of the laughing is, you know, we do realize, like, we are very fortunate, very lucky. I don't want to always say luck, because that implies that we lucked into this stuff and we didn't like work for it, you know, like we did, we worked for it. Chris more than anybody. And you know, it's one of these things, like, we didn't, you don't, there are so many people that are driving on the interstate or driving down Poplar or driving down Walnut Grove or Park or whatever, Summer, whatever the street is, Germantown Parkway, and they hate going to their job every day. It's a have-to job.
Right.
And so they're freaking, this sucks. So our job is, and this is what we did in 92.9, especially we're in the middle of the day. We do it now too, because we have more and more people that watch live and listen live now than we've had, you know, in any of our previous years with Grind City. We give you a break from that. Forget about the desk job you got to go sit at, you know, like, for maybe even that 30 minutes or 1 hour lunch break you get, like, we make you laugh. We can make you laugh and make you forget about it. Like, I've gotten so many notes from people saying that you guys are by far the best part of my workday. Like, it's the best part of my workday, is listening to you guys, because you guys make me laugh. And so that's, yeah.
I could tell you that, you know, when you guys were on ESPN radio from 11 to 2 every day, even when I was at my store, I religiously, even though we had it on the speakers outside in the store, I had it on in my office too, because you provided me with comic relief. It didn't matter what kind of mood I was in that day. Listening to that show made everything better.
Yeah, because when you're dealing with, like I said, you're dealing with that, or just any business, you know, any kind of like retail store or whatever, like, you're having to sell stuff to people, and that can be very frustrating. Like, you think you got a sale and then boom, it falls apart at the last second, or you're dealing with distributors on the phone, like whatever it may be, and something's going wrong, like it gets frustrating. And we're a little bit of a break. We're a little bit of a break from that.
How did an avid Cowboys fan and a longtime 49ers fan become such good friends and get along so well?
Okay, so I grew up a Niners fan because Steve Young, really, I remember the very end of Montana, and then Steve Young is my favorite NFL player ever. And the only reason I don't have Steve Young's rookie card is because he's in a Bucs jersey. I'm like, I don't want that because he's in a Bucs jersey. And I apologize if you can hear the honking horn from somebody's car alarm downstairs. Okay. Then the Niners, after Steve Young left, Jeff Garcia, they had a couple good years with Jeff Garcia, and then they just sucked. Like, we sucked for like a decade, close to a decade. And I still rooted for the team, but like I didn't have NFL Sunday ticket. So the only way I watched Niners stuff was like this back when like NFL Primetime's on, Right. Like I'd watch like Tom Jackson and Chris Berman and all that. Those are the only way I'd see Niners highs, but we sucked. And then it all flipped for me when Harbaugh got there. When Harbaugh got there, that's when it just started gearing up a little bit. And I started coming and hanging out downtown more. And there's a bar downtown that had the NFL Sunday ticket. And I used to watch Niners games a lot there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things like it's not like, but I guess because we're not like crazy fans, like we're fans of the teams, but it's also like, it's fun. Like, I don't hate the Cowboys. He doesn't hate the 49ers. We had rivalry games back in the 90s, but we don't like, despise each other's teams. I will say I listened to a podcast today and they did an NFC East preview. And they give a best bet at the end, and their best bet was the Cowboys under 10.5 wins at -130, which I love. I can't wait to bring that up tomorrow. I can't wait to bring that up tomorrow. So good. Their depleted receiving core. Everybody's going to be paying attention to CeeDee Lamb. Word is they're not going to have Micah Parsons rushing the passer as much this year. Oh, it's going to be beautiful.
Someone on Twitter,
but they'll still win the division because every other team in that division sucks.
Right.
Don't buy the Eagles. The Eagles ain't. Jalen Hurts ain't good. He's not good.
No, he's not. He's not at the level that people think he's at. Exactly.
No, he's not.
Someone on your Twitter page suggested that you and Chris should next time the 49ers and Cowboys play, y'all should Instagram it live together.
No.
How would that work out?
No, not good. We get kicked off. Be kicked off. Be too much. My neighbors in my apartment probably hate me because during Niners games, they probably heard me yell some crazy things like, "What is going on with that guy next door?" Because I get pretty into it. I do get pretty into it. Like last year, the Sunday night game against the Packers, man, we got Rodgers there at the end when he freaking went like 60 yards in 2 plays, and then they kicked the field goal. I'm like, oh my God, like, what is this? Like, it's just deflating. I'm just screaming obscenities at the TV. So yeah. And then he watches all the Cowboys games with his dad and his son. They all watch together. So yeah, that's kind of a tradition that they have. My tradition is watching the 49ers by myself yelling.
The majority of NBA players, make a lot of money, with the top tier now making, in some cases over $50 million a year. And even though they make that, huge amount of money and they don't have to give back, a lot of them do give back of themselves in several ways. You talked about something that happened pretty special back in March with Steph Curry in Golden State. They were playing at Denver. And there was a little girl who, had her heart broken because she came to the first game there and Steph didn't play in that game and he missed it. And you tweeted a video of Steph walking over to her. First, he fist bumped her and he talked to her a couple of minutes. He made her smile. And I think he even, took a selfie with her telephone with her. You were given a
signed a card for her too. He signed a basketball card.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah. It was such a classy act of kindness. It's truly the little things that matter sometimes, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just that, like, it sometimes is hard to separate, like so many, because I've been fortunate enough to be around athletes. Some people do have a hard time. They look at them like they're the kids. They look at them like they're heroes. They're these idols to them, but like they are just people. They are just regular guys or gals, if you're playing females, women's, if you're a woman playing a sport. They really are just regular. They are just regular people. But they get paid to play a game. They get paid for a living to play a game. And deep down, we all have a little bit of kid in this, and we like playing games. We're just older, so we do like cornhole now. Right. Instead of running up and down a basketball court, we do cornhole with a beer in our hand instead of running up and down a basketball court. But it's a game, or we play cards.
Right.
Like we play cards or something. We play Texas Hold'em or blackjack or whatever. Like we'll play some kind of card game. But it is a game and it's competition. And I think that's part of the appeal of athletes, why you do look up to them. And, you go rooting for teams. Sports are fun, they're fun.
You said that you think Michael Jordan is the GOAT, and it's not even close. I completely agree with you. MJ downplays it a lot and says, you really can't compare it. It's different times, different eras. Look, he played in a much tougher time back in where, hand checking. I mean, oh my God. I mean, he got mauled when he went to the basket and still made the shot, the majority of the time. Why do you believe that he's the best ever?
I've got 4 eyes. So I mean, look, I've never seen him quit on a team. Never seen him quit. Now you can say he retired to go play baseball or he got suspended to go play baseball, like whatever you believe. Like he had family issues going on. His father had just passed away. His dad always wanted him to play baseball. And that's the biggest thing with the LeBron thing is like, I've just seen him quit. Like I've seen him quit. And like too many times I've seen him quit. And so, like that's where I'm at on that. I also don't think he's as good of a shooter as Jordan. The hand checking thing wouldn't have bothered LeBron that much because he's so freaking strong. Sure. But Jordan in today's game would average 40 a game. Prime Jordan would average 40 a game.
Right.
Absolutely. He absolutely would. When you can't put your hands on guys, he 100% would average 40. It's not even close. These dudes aren't as mentally tough as he is. Like they're not. They're not. Now they grew up in a tough era too. They grew up in it is not as easy as you think growing up in a social media era. It is hard. Like, because these guys are conditioned that from an early age, they've grown up with social media. So they're on it starting at a young age. And so they are conditioned to see what everybody says and care what everybody says. And too many of them do. Right. They do. Like they too many of these guys do care what other people think, what other people say. And I do believe they will hit an age, like even our Grizzlies, like their team's just young. They like to talk trash. Once these guys are all like 27 years old, 28, 29, 30, like they're not going to be doing the popping off on social media. They're not. Like they don't, like you just hit a certain age, unless they're Kevin Durant, like because he has nothing else to do because he's not married, he's not married, doesn't have any kids, like, but like all these guys are going to be married with kids eventually and they're not going to have time to do any of that stuff. They're just not going to have the time.
You also talked about Barry Sanders once. He's a former running back for the Detroit Lions. If people didn't get to watch him play, I believe from like 89 to 99, he was just unbelievable. You said he was on a totally different level. What do you think made him so special?
Oh, I mean, that dude's doing stuff that when you watch like Reggie Bush play at USC and you see the moves, how he did. Like, dude, Barry Sanders was doing that in the pros.
Yeah.
In the pros, like back in like 1990, he was doing that in the pros. Barry Sanders it was his ability to stop on a dime. Like I've never seen somebody be able to stop and go so fast. Stop, cut one way, stop, bounce the other way. Like I've never seen somebody that's been able to do that. And, my dad always told me that Gale Sayers was Barry Sanders before Barry Sanders, that Gale Sayers, like my dad and one of his friends used to say, Gale Sayers is the baddest SOB I've ever seen run the football, like better than Walter Payton. They're like, as far as just being flashy and fun, because Gale Sayers could do all that stuff too. Like but he obviously had a very short career, injuries, I believe, I would imagine. So I don't know everything about Gale Sayers, but yeah, Barry Sanders, he's the best. He's the best running back I've ever seen.
And he retired young.
I've been around since he's a good one. LaDainian Tomlinson was awesome. Adrian Peterson's unbelievable. Frank Gore, obviously, is like my favorite.
Sure.
But I know Frank Gore's not Barry Sanders. Emmitt Smith, I've seen Emmitt Smith play a ton. Another steady one was Curtis Martin. Corey Dillon was freaking awesome for several years. I love Ricky Waters. Jerome Bettis was a great back. Jamal Lewis had some really good years. Sean Alexander had a couple of good seasons where he was also. Ricky Williams was once it got past the whole Saints thing, like he had some really, really good seasons. I think he had a 2,000-yard season with the Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. Marshall Faulk's another one. Marshall Faulk on one of those Madden games, I think it was the year after the Rams won the Super Bowl when they went the greatest show on turf, with Carl Warner. That year after on Madden, Marshall Faulk's like one of those like video game that year, one of those video game players. The screen pass to Marshall Faulk, I mean, it was like you just throw the screen and you can put a guy out there, but if he makes that first guy miss, he's gone. Like it's just there's no stopping him.
Yeah, he was incredible. I believe the Rams won. It was like 2000, 2001 when they won, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Saw a little bit of Bo Jackson too. Got to see a little bit of him. Bo was obviously amazing also.
Zach Randolph was really embraced by the city of Memphis when he came here and back in 2009, and the complete grit and grind era does not exist without him. You said of Zebo, quote, used to be a Blazer, now I'll go Grizzlies, swagging on the haters, wearing number 50. In this past December 11th, Zebo had his number 50 jersey retired at the Grizzlies game, and his close friend and former teammate Marc Gasol came into town from Spain. And it was a really emotional evening. I spoke to Pete Pranica a few weeks ago on the podcast about what a special guy Zach is. And you got a chance to talk with him over the years too and meet him. Tell us a little bit about the Zach Randolph that you know.
Oh, always smiling. It's like there's that clip of Stephen A. Smith saying it. He's like, him and Skip Bayless were talking, and they're like, we saw him on South Beach one night, during the finals. Zach was down there with Miami. The Heat were in the finals. Zach was just, down there visiting Miami because a lot of players go to Miami when the season's over, go to Miami, Los Angeles, somewhere tropical where it's warm. And they're like, he's the nicest. He's a teddy bear. Like he really is. He's a big teddy bear until you mess with him.
Right.
Then, there's an issue. Zach's just he's always smiling, super nice, but there's that side, that competitive side to him. Really nice. I remember when I saw him, I ran into him in Vegas one year in the Aria. I was getting on the elevator to go downstairs. He was getting off the elevator. So I guess he was staying on the same floor as me. And he goes, hey, what's up, man? I was like, yo, what's up, Zach? He goes, how's your mom doing, man? How's your mom doing? I was like, I didn't even know he knew about my mom. And I was like, she's doing great. She's doing great. He's like, all right, man, that's good. That's good. I see you. He was out there doing some press conference for something, but Zach's awesome. Zach's absolutely awesome.
You talk about, about Zach was great until, you mess with him. And you remember a few years ago when him and Steven Adams got into it during the game and that happened. And then you see Steven Adams comes to Memphis. He's embraced by Memphis. The same thing happened with Mario Chalmers. Obviously everybody knows what happened back in 2008, the shot. And then he comes here to play for the Grizzlies, and it maybe took a few games, but they saw the work ethic, how hard he worked, that he cared, that he was out there. The city really embraces players, don't they?
But he hit that game winner against Detroit. That one helped.
Yeah.
That helped big time. Because he had like 29 or 30 in that game. He had a lot. He scored a lot in that game. Remember, Dwayne Wade tweeted after the game, Rio. Everybody calls him Rio. It's people have people, the only reason they hated Steven Adams because he had Zach Randolph, because he pissed off Zach Randolph, and Zach Randolph got suspended for Game 7. That's the only reason people dislike him, because people, they're Grizzlies fans here. And it's the only reason they hated Mario Chalmers. They're Tigers fans. And so that's why they ended up disliking Mario Chalmers. But now you're here, you're playing for our team, and you're playing well. Yeah, everybody likes you. That's just being a fan. That's just how it goes. Like, that's just the only one that I always look, as a 49ers fan, you have no idea how much I hated Richard Sherman. And then he ends up on our team for 4 years. And it's like, what? Like, that one was hard. Like, that one took, and I never fully got there. He was good for us, though, except in that freaking Super Bowl, and he let Sammy Watkins get behind him. That, still not forgetting that. And he had a great season. He had like an all-pro level season that year, too. But that play still bugs me. But, yeah, like, I mean, that's one that's tough. There are certain instances where it is tough, where it's like, okay, I don't know if I can get past this one. The Richard Sherman thing tested me. I came around a little bit. I never fully got there where I was like, yeah, Sherman. Like, I was never like that. I could never do that. You know, it'd be like if Emmanuel Mosley got an interception, I'm like, yeah, let's freaking go. Richard Sherman got an interception. I'm like, you know, it's like that. Like, it's never standing up going crazy. But it just shows, like, usually once these guys, you may dislike them. Once they're a part of your team, you know, as long as they're playing well, you're okay.
Right.
Like the Yankees fans, they used to freaking boo A-Rod all the time. And then, you know, he actually had the good playoffs in the year they won the World Series and beat the Phillies. And, you know, they all turned and loved him after that. So.
Former Grizzlies radio network host Gary Darby said, quote, "I might be a little biased, but no NBA team has a radio and television crew like the Grizz." He was talking about Eric Hasseltine, Elliot Perry, Pete Pranica, Brett McKnight, Chris Vernon, yourself, Jessica Benson, Michael Wallace, Rob Fisher. What is it about all of you guys that you guys have such an incredible chemistry together?
We all like each other. I think that's a big thing. I mean, I think that genuinely does matter, where we don't, especially some of these, I've seen a lot of these broadcasters, a lot of egos. There really are. It's not just sports that have egos. The broadcasters got egos too. But we're not like that with each other. Like, the egos, you know, leave your ego at the door. Like, you know, the stereotypical thing. And I guess we do. We leave them at the door. Like, we all genuinely like each other. Like, I mean, that's what it is. Like, we all like each other, you know, we're all cool with each other. Like, nobody dislikes one another, you know, we all see each other. We say hi, we say, what's up? Good to see you, you know, things like that. But I think that goes a long way. Whereas I think some of these other people, like, they're fighting, like, I want your job, you know, I want to get up to your job. But that's not the case here.
Yeah, I believe your favorite movie of all time is Goodfellas, which came out in 1990 when you were just about 6 years old. You said you've seen it more times than any other movie, and Ray Liotta passed away just a few months ago. He was the lovable gangster Henry Hill in the movie, and he also had that really memorable part of playing shoeless Joe Jackson in the movie Field of Dreams. Why is that movie so special to you?
Goodfellas or Field of Dreams?
Goodfellas.
Okay, because I don't really care about Field of Dreams.
Yeah,
I'm not really a big fan of it. It's fine. I mean, it's fine to me. It's whatever. Goodfellas, and not that it's special. I just like gangster movies. Okay. I'm actually, seriously, if I turned my laptop around, I'd hit play, but there may be some language. I'm watching The Sopranos right now. So I like the mafia stuff.
Right.
I like the mafia stuff. And I love Martin Scorsese. I love Scorsese. I haven't seen every Scorsese movie. Like, I never saw Shutter Island because that was seemed like more of a horror thing, and I don't really do that kind of stuff. I don't really like horror movies. Those do freak me out. I do get freaked out by those. And I never saw Hugo, although I heard it was great. But yeah, I just like mafia movies, and I love De Niro. I love De Niro.
Yeah,
I love De Niro. De Niro to me is, of my generation era, I'm not going to talk about like Humphrey Bogart and those Cary Grant and those guys, but like to me, of the last, I don't know, let's go from 1970. When was Taxi Driver?
70s, I think.
70s. I'll say 1970 to now. So we'll say 50 years. I think De Niro's the best actor in the last 50 years. I think he's the best actor in the last 50 years. There are some other guys. Well, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis could be up there, but Daniel Day-Lewis just didn't do enough movies to me. Like, he's an amazing actor, but he just didn't do enough movies. DiCaprio not winning Best Actor for The Wolf of Wall Street is just, I mean, a freaking crime. How he didn't win that year and he ended up winning for The Revenant, which I've never seen that movie, but he was awesome in Wolf of Wall Street. But yeah, De Niro, because I think that what's so good about De Niro is De Niro can play a leading role. He can play a supporting role, but then he can even play like a more minor role than that, you know. And I believe he won. Did he win Best Actor for Best Supporting Actor in Silver Linings Playbook? I know he was not.
I think he did.
I think
he did. Yeah.
I love that movie. David O. Russell, another really good director. He's got a new movie coming out soon. You need to go watch the trailer. I saw the trailers out. I can't remember what it's called, but I can find it. But yeah, I mean, and Pesci's amazing in the movie too. And you know, you look at all those guys, and I mean, Sam Jackson's in that movie. Samuel
right.
Jackson in the movie, who he's in like every movie. But no, it's just I love De Niro, I love Scorsese, and I love gangster movies. And so when you put those three together all in the same, I love Casino. Casino's not as good as Goodfellas, but it's freaking awesome. Sharon Stone didn't win an Oscar for that movie, did she?
I don't think so.
She was freaking, Sharon Stone is so good in that movie. Sharon Stone should have been Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress. I don't know who won that year, but we should give it to her. It's the same way the The King's Speech won Best Picture over The Social Network. Like, what the hell is this? It's so ridiculous. The Social Network is one of the, I would say since 2000, The Social Network is probably one of the three best movies made. I think There Will Be Bloods in there too.
Right.
There Will Be Bloods in there too. And I would know what the other one is. I couldn't think of it. But like, I'm going off on a movie tangent here.
That's all right.
I like talking about this more than I like talking about my job in sports.
Yeah, I love Casino. I think Casino was like 95, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was like 95.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
90s was a great decade for movies.
Yeah.
A great decade for movies, man. There was so much good stuff. Like, I remember when Jurassic Park came out, it was like, what is this? Like, you've never seen anything like that. Absolutely amazing. Forrest Gump obviously came out then. There were tons of Silence of the Lambs came out in the 90s, another one of my favorites, but I just laugh at that now.
Right.
So that movie, I mean, it's obviously not a laugh. If you're watching it for the first time, it's not a laughing matter.
No.
You've seen it a ton, you can start to crack jokes at how creepy it is. It's like, all right, what is this? You know, everybody's got a Buffalo Bill impression. Everybody does. If you've seen Silence of the Lambs multiple times, everybody's got a Buffalo Bill impression. And then obviously we had in the comedies. Let's go with the comedies. Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey, I think, were the kings of comedy in the 90s.
Right.
As far as movies go, I believe they were. Eddie Murphy up there. Eddie Murphy had a good run. Eddie Murphy had some good. The Nutty Professor still holds up to this day. Freaking Eddie Murphy's a genius for that one.
You know, Grizzlies coach Taylor Jenkins said of the players back in April, quote, "Everybody knows our standard." You said that says it all about the Grizzlies culture. There's a standard that's expected for everyone from the coaching staff to the players. You know, you said when someone is out, the next man knows that they have to step up and how they're supposed to play. Do you believe that is the reason why this team has had such success?
Yeah, but the players also have to buy into it. So this is Taylor to me. Like, Taylor is really good at talking to these guys. Also, if you look up Taylor on his Wikipedia, I think he minored in psychology. So there's something to that. I 100% believe there's something to that in knowing, what makes people, guys' personalities. You have to know their personalities. You got to know what makes them tick, what can work. I think it's 100% credit to Taylor and credit to the front office for making the right hire and giving him the reign to do his job. It can be very easy to question a first-time head coach. It's very easy for a front office. We've seen it with multiple organizations where it can happen, where front offices can step in. I'm not going to name names or anything, but like you've seen it happen before. You can go look it up and read it. But that's not, the case here is the front office and the head coach, the coaching staff, they're all locked in unison, all locked in unison. So that's a credit to Taylor. Like and they give these guys what they need to be successful, whether it's stuff they need for, rehabbing or for lifting or for training. Like they give them the tools they need to be successful, and they're there for them. And players see that, and players know that. And then you also have to but the guys have to buy into it. I always go back to the quote that Chris always said, that Hubie Brown say, you've got to have the best player on your side. You have to have the best player on the team on your side. If you've got him on your side, everything else typically falls in place. It typically falls in place. And Ja loves it. Ja loves Taylor, and they both speak very highly of each other.
Associate editor for Grizzly Bear Blues, Brandon Abraham, said of you,
"Oh, that guy.
It remains impossible to keep a straight face while watching Roser call games. Why is that?"
I try to do different things because I do recognize it's G League, and I give credit to my bosses, John Pugliese, Scott Zachary, and then even all of our video crew, Robbie Weaver, Jacob Blevins, and we have other guys that are back there too. We have tons of other people that work on the broadcast. Those are just ones that I work around every day, so I know I'm thinking of them off the top of my head. And Eli too. Eli obviously doing the play-by-play next to me, for letting me kind of experiment and have the freedom and obviously Jason Wexler too. Just to give me, they're like, hey man, it's a G League game. It's a G League game. Have fun with it. Take it serious, but like have fun, And so I think the first year, because the games were on Facebook Watch, is what it was called then. I don't know if Facebook Watch, I don't even know if it's still called that or whatever. It's Facebook TV or whatever. Anyways, they had our games would be on there. But they had like a live chat. So I'd get on there and we could chat. I'd look at the people watching the game and I could, comment on what they were saying in the chat during the game. And then I think the next year after that, we still were able to do some of that, but the game switched over to other different networks. And then, this past year, I just decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to incorporate like some rap lyrics into this, I was like, but it's got to feel right. It's got to feel right. I can't just do it to do it, but it's got to feel right. And so I just started doing that, and they're totally cool with it. I mean, I'm not using bad language, like, as long as I'm using, and the stuff, it works, it works. So I give credit to, my bosses for allowing me to do that, not being like, hey man, don't say that. Be more, traditional broadcast guy, like we're on ESPN or TNT or something. They are like, we're calling golf on NBC or something. Like they're not like, have fun. They let me have fun with it, and I do, and I have a blast doing it. I'm excited for the hustle this year. I think they got a chance to be. Obviously, I don't know everybody else's G League rosters. And none of this stuff will be finalized until after NBA training camp anyway, because then the hustle have to do their training camp. But, there's a real potential with, I think Kennedy Chandler will be down there. Obviously, Kenneth Lofton's a two-way. Vince Williams is going to be a two-way with those guys. And, I think the hustle got a chance to have a really, really fun team this year. And Jason March is awesome. He's the best. Coach March, God, he's the best.
Somebody posted how they on I believe it was on Twitter, how they appreciate how open and honest that you and Chris and Devin are every day. That, sometimes it could be an opinion about Rudy Gobert, or other times it's real life tragedies that affect them. Isn't that's one of the big reasons why you guys have connected so well, because you're just real? Yeah,
absolutely. And I give Chris is the one who taught me that. He's like, let these people feel like they know you. Like I was at I was actually at a card show this past weekend in Tupelo helping a friend of mine sell. And somebody came in like right as we were like closing up shop. We were almost, it was like, cause the show ended at 3. So it's like 2:45. So we're packing up. He's got like 4 big showcases with tons of valuable cards in them. But his other stuff that's not as expensive off to the side, we had packed all that up, and his, sealed boxes of cards. We had packed all that up, and we were just leaving the showcase. And this guy walked in, and he's asking me about who was the player? It might have been a Kyler Murray. I think it might have been a Kyler Murray or a Mac Jones card. It was a football card. And I was like, yeah, sure, man. Hang on a second. And he goes, I know you. And I looked at him, I was like, do you? And he goes, I listen to you and Vernon every day. And so we chatted it up for a little bit. He ended up not buying the card, but it's fine. Like I told him, I was like, hey man, there's a show in Memphis in 2 weeks. I was like, come on out to that, man. Maybe you see something there you like. But when he was leaving, he's like, it's crazy, man. He's like, it's my first time meeting you, but I feel like I know you. I feel like I do know you. And I was like, thanks, man. His name was Blake. I meant to give him a shout out on the show, but I'll have to do that tomorrow. But I'll have to do that one of these days soon. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow. I don't know when this podcast is coming out. So
next week.
Next week. Oh, okay. Well, then I will have already done it by then.
Yeah.
I will have already given him the shout out by then. But shout out Blake. But yeah, no, that's part of it. Like we get that from a lot of people. Like I already feel like I know you. Even though we may just be meeting someone for the first time. And yeah, no, that's part of it.
You said, quote, everyone have a blessed day and focus on what makes you be the best person you can be. How do you personally do that, John?
I struggle with it just like everybody else. I think sometimes people need to hear that. Like, I think we do live in a world where where a lot of people, it's not everybody, but there are a lot of people, especially when it comes to social media, that it's like, there's so many people sitting around waiting for people to screw up and to make mistakes, so they can pounce on them. And it's like, man, like you're not perfect either. None of us are. If you're a religious person, there's the quote, we all fall short of the glory of God. If you're not a religious person, no big deal. Or whatever religion you are, that's, it's totally fine. But there is that we all fall short, and we all do as humans. We all make mistakes. And I think it's one of those things that, I had to do it myself. Like during the pandemic, I started drinking way too much. Like everything's closed. I'm sitting at home all the time. You can't go anywhere. Like it was depressing, Yep. And I realized a little bit after that, I was like, this is not the best version of myself. I'm not being the best person I can be. And I still don't think I'm the best person I can be, but I'm aware of it. I try to be nice to everybody. Because let's be real. How you see people talk to each other on social media, dude, that is not like if you're at the grocery store, how you talk to people at the grocery store.
Right.
Or like if you're out on a walk or a run, like you see someone, at least in the South, and you nod your head, say hello, hey, how you doing? How's, whatever.
Right.
Like, these people are really cutting each other's heads off over things. And I'm like, this is not how people talk to each other when you're actually out in real life. So I just feel like, focus. There are a lot of people that just probably don't focus enough on themselves and what they can do to be better. I do feel like, at least on social media, there's too much of waiting for other people to screw up so you can pounce on them and tell them what they did wrong. Like, you don't need to tell them what they did wrong. I don't know what they did wrong, But, I just find whatever it is. And if you're struggling with things, because I've been that way too, I'm in therapy still. Me
too.
And mine passed away. So I talked to someone new. And actually, I got it through Rob Fisher. Rob had that Jeff Calkins wrote that column about Rob, what he struggles with. And I asked him, I said, yo, man, my psychologist, my therapist passed away. Like, what? I was like, I got to get a new one. I was like, what do you? And he goes, And he said, he's like, have you ever talked to a woman? And I was like, no. And he goes, well, I've had a male therapist and I've had a female therapist. And he's like, and I can tell you just from my experience, it's way easier to talk to a woman than it is a man. And I was like, really? And he's like, I mean, that's just me. He goes, it may not be you. So I got a female therapist, and that's who I have now. And she's great. And she's great. And she's young. She's like I think we're like about the same age, but she might even be younger than me. But it's something that I realized I needed help with. And that's part of being the best version of myself, is reaching out and asking for that help and getting that help. So I just say anybody, like, if you're like, reach out to somebody does care about you. There are plenty of people that do. You just may be afraid to. I've had a couple of listeners reach out to me on Twitter via DM, and I'll check in with them every now and then.
That's nice.
See how they're doing and everything. So if there's anybody watching this, listen to this, reach out to me on Twitter if you're struggling, and I'll, try to help you the best way I can, point you in the right direction, help you make that step. Yeah, I mean, what I would say, being the best version of yourself, focus on what makes you feel good about yourself. Like, what do you like? Because everybody's different, but if you're doing something and it makes you feel bad about yourself, which you know it. I don't need to tell you that. You know what it is. You know what it is. I ain't going to ask you, but like, we all have our flaws. I'm sure there's something you do. I'm sure there's something that you do where you're like, God, why do I do this? Why do I keep doing and you dislike yourself for it. It makes you and you feel like you're not being your best. You've been just like anybody watching this. I'm sure somebody has that too. Everybody does. And then you also know the things that when you do them that make you feel good about yourself, where you're like, man, like that's, it makes you feel better, makes you feel more, you know what those things are, don't you? That make you feel more positive about life and about what you're doing here and what your purpose is. And everybody knows that. I can't tell you what that is, everybody, but you know what they are. I know what mine are that make me feel like crap and make me be like, man, this is not me. This is not the best version of myself. And I know what I do to make myself, how I can make myself, what makes me feel good about myself and makes me be a better person. That's a long-winded answer right there.
No, it's a great answer, John. That was and a lot of people need to hear that. There's so many people, I talked about this with someone yesterday. So many people, especially a lot of times men, are afraid to ask for help because they think it's not macho.
Shout out Paddy Pimblett, by the way. Shout out Paddy Pimblett for that. After he won his last UFC fight, for saying that, I guess one of his buddies had committed suicide. And he said, there's a stigma involving men that, you can't ask for help, and it doesn't need to be that way. If you're feeling, basically, if you're feeling lost, you're feeling overwhelmed, talk to somebody. Somebody cares. There are people who care. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
Down South Wings and Grills, located downtown Memphis. You call them a hidden gem. What makes them so good?
They're freaking awesome. They're just good. It's wings. Like it's Memphis. And it's like, it is. Like, I still haven't seen the place, but someone sent me a picture of it and they're like, this is it. And it just looks like a rundown, whatever.
It does. I saw the picture.
Oh yeah. Which means, it's awesome.
Right.
It's awesome. There are so many of those places you can pass through in Memphis where you see, like, I've seen this one dude. He's like, I can't remember where it was. Maybe one time when I was on my way to Tunica. This was a couple of years ago, because I haven't been down there as much recently. And I'm driving down there, and there's like this. You can see the dude like actually grilling outside of his restaurant. Like it's a small little burger place, but the grill is actually outside on the side, and I'm like, those are awesome. Like, you just know they are. And Down South Wings, they're good. God, they're good. They're some of the best in the city. I'd say them and Wing Guru, probably the two that I'm thinking of off the top of my, I love wings, man. I can eat a ton of them. I will tell you, if you're doing your own wings, kicking chicken season. You have any of that?
Oh my gosh, yes, I use it.
Dude,
on
it is so good. Oh my God, it's so good.
Kicking chicken.
Yeah. So here's another one of my my mom's friends. He taught me what he does with his wings. So he'll do them like do with a grill or whatever. But like he told me a way to do them. It's like I live in an apartment. I don't have a grill I can use, so I gotta kind of come up with a way. So I do my air fryer. I use my air fryer, but then I also turn on the oven. I turn the broil on up to like 500 degrees or whatever. But I season them with a little bit of salt, pepper, and then a little lemon pepper. I do them in the air fryer and a little oil in there too. Do them in the air fryer, take them out. And then I put the kicking chicken seasoning on and then put them in the oven for about 5 to 6 minutes on one side. And that gets them so crispy and crunchy. Then I flip them over, put more kicking chicken seasoning on the other side, and put them back in for another 5 or 6 minutes. And they come out, and then I let them kind of cool for a sec. Then I'll throw some wing sauce together, and you toss them around in the bowl. They're spicy as hell, but I love them. Like God, they're so good, and they come out really good. But yeah, I realized that you have to wait for the wings when you take them out. I'm still trying to teach myself and learn these things. That if you take the wings out and they're really hot and you throw them right in a bowl of sauce, that sauce just freaking falls off of it because the wings are so hot. Like you kind of got to let them cool a little bit because you want that sauce to stick to the wing.
Weber's kicking chicken, man. That stuff is unbelievable.
It's so,
it is.
No. I mean, hang on, dude. Hang on. I'm gonna blow your mind with this stuff. All right. I got these two.
God.
I got these two. I got these two. Oh, the kicking chicken season. It's so good. No, I wasn't kidding, man. I'm actually set seasoned up here. I've got chicken thighs seasoned right now that I'm going to cook here a little bit for dinner. I'm going to do a little bit of asparagus with them. That's something else that honestly helps me be the best version of myself is starting to cook. I used to have, like in my 20s, I had two roommates who were Italian. That's how I learned how to cook. They were Italian. They knew how to cook. You know, they grew up in Italian homes. Like so I just started asking them questions. I'm like, so what do you do? How do you do any of this? I didn't know how to do anything other than like, I'm like, can you microwave it? You know, that's how I used to be. You know?
Right.
I'm like, I can make ramen. But they were like, no, just, you know, they're like, honestly, you can really do anything and you can make stuff good if you just if you get a pan, turn on the stovetop and you put a little oil in there and then maybe a little butter. He goes, you can pretty much drop anything in there and it's going to end up being good. So I started out just doing basic stuff like that. But yeah, now I just experiment. There's something else I started doing. Green beans, get fresh green beans, like the long green beans. I've never done this before, but oil in a skillet. I try not to use butter. I don't use butter anymore. Just because there's so much fat in it, I just don't use butter anymore. So I just use oil. You put the green beans in, you let them cook for a good bit. Then when they're almost about done, I throw tiger seasoning on them, which is just a mixture of all kinds of crap, and squeeze some spicy brown mustard on it. And then just mix it all around. Spicy brown mustard on green bean, unbelievable.
Wow, that's
unbelievable. New. Yeah, it's unbelievable. You wouldn't think so, but it is.
Yeah, I was introduced to kicking chicken about 15 years ago when I used to have these pool parties grilling out by a friend of mine. And ever since then, all the time I get grilled chicken. I cook this chicken, I cut it up into small pieces, I put it in stir fry, I put the kicking chicken in and stir fry it till it gets crispy. And it's great. And it's healthy.
Oh, it's so good. Yes. Kicking chicken seasoning is amazing. I go through this stuff so fast. I go through this stuff faster than like deodorant. And I use deodorant every day. That's awesome. That tells you anything. Yeah. Gluten-free too, people.
Yes.
Gluten-free Weber's kicking chicken.
Yeah.
God, if you don't get a sponsorship deal with them.
Yeah, I know.
I know. What's up with that, man? You got to get a sponsorship deal from Weber's Kicking Chicken.
So, John, this past June 29th, you posted, "Happy birthday, Mom. Thank you for dealing with all my crap growing up. You inspire me to be a better person. Love you." It sounds like that your mom must be a really special woman. Tell us a little bit about her.
My mom's the most important person in my life, man, because I'm not married or anything. My mom's the most important person in my life. She raised me. My parents got divorced at a really early age. I didn't know my dad till I was like 11, 12 years old. But and my dad just passed away last November. My mom raised me, and bro, I was a bratty teenager, like we all were. Right. Like I did stupid stuff. I was a jackass. Like, I'm not gonna lie. She caught me drinking as a high school kid, and I was, she's punishing me, but I'm, because I'm being an idiot. I'm pissed off and yelling mean things to her. And she just dealt with so much crap that she didn't deserve. And she always tells me, she's like, "John, you weren't that bad," which means if her mom was still alive, I wish I could know those stories, which means my mom tells me I'm like, what was my mom like as a teenager? That's what yeah. She's like, "You weren't that." She's like, "You weren't bad." She's like, "It's just part of growing up, like you're a teenager, you want your independence, you're going to say, you always say, I'm sure you said stuff to your parents, like we all have,
sure.
It's part of being a teenager. It's part of growing up. Like, man, teenagers can be jackasses, man. Like, they really can. Like, it's because they want that little bit of independence. But no, she's always there for me. Anything I need, still to this day. And I go over there. I'm actually, because we're out at the golf course for the golf tournament, which is close to where she lives. I'm actually going to go have lunch with her tomorrow, which by the time this pod posts, that lunch will have already happened. Right. And I have dinner with her once or twice a week too.
That's awesome. How can people follow you online personally?
Twitter at John, Jon, not John. There's no silent H in my name. Jon _Roser, ROSER, at JON _Roser, ROSER. Instagram at John Roser, all one word. Anything else I'm on? Let me see. No, I don't do Facebook. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
And also, I believe that, people, if they want to, they can catch, the Chris Vernon Show every Monday through Friday live at noon on YouTube, grindcitymedia.com, Grizzlies app. But this week, I think y'all are on earlier at 9:30 because you're at the golf course, right?
Yeah, we have been at the golf course, so 9:30 to 11. But yeah, typically by the time this comes out, the golf tournament will be over. So it's noon. We're on noon, live at noon, youtube.com/grindcitymedia, grindcitymedia.com. The app, you can get the Grizzlies app, which has like Grind City Media, FedEx Forum, and the Grizzlies all in one. So you can listen or watch there too. But yeah, YouTube, I recommend do the YouTube thing. Watch it on YouTube. Get involved in the show chat. There's always a chat going. Devin always pays attention to it because I don't. Neither does Chris. But shout out to the people in the chat every day. So yeah, man, that's what we do. We'll make you laugh. I guarantee you, we'll make you laugh. Definitely. And I think the show to me, it's almost identical to the radio show that you guys had. It's just funny and informative, and it's so entertaining. Yeah, it's just goofy. Man, I really appreciate you coming on today. This has been. And you know what? Here's the thing too. I'll say this because other people say like, "Well, yeah, but it's not like 3 hours like the old radio show was." And I'm like, well, really about the same because people remember. And like our commercial breaks were like 7 minutes long, right? At 92.9, and like here we take one like 3-minute break in the middle of the show, and that's it. So I did all the times. I averaged out all the times, and I'm like, it basically comes out to the exact same time length of show content. Yeah, we never thought about that. Yeah, because you're right. The commercials were very long. All the sponsors and people, advertisers on there too. And Chris has to do all the live reads and everything coming back from break and going to break. Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on today. I hadn't seen you in several years, but I enjoy watching you guys and listening. And you're just a good guy. You're a lot of fun.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you again. Thank you.